call the roll.
Commissioner Kenlock, Commissioner Garza, Commissioner Clemente,
Present.
Commissioner Dobb,
Here.
Chair Clark Coleman.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item,
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none.
C, approve the April 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes.
Okay.
Move approval.
Support.
Been properly moved by Commissioner Kenlock, and who supported that? Commissioner Dobb. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, please vote.
Feel like vote yes.
Motion carried.
Next item,
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
okay.
Moving to item 1 under new business, forwarding a report on the Sheriff's Office Global Positioning System Teller Monitoring Program.
Okay, do we have, Vanita, are you here?
Nope, she's
Oh,
updated.
that's right, that's right. Jerome is here today.
Jerome Picorni, Sheriff Administration. I apologize, Vanita cannot be here, though she is the one who compiled and submitted these reports, so I will try to muddle through.
Okay,
Item one?
item number one.
Item number one, the report on electronic monitoring unit. As you know, it's an alternative to the jails as an assistance to the court systems, helps participants retain their jobs, receive drug and alcohol treatments to assimilate back into their communities. It also is a way of bringing down the average daily population in the jails. Just a couple numbers here. Total new enrollments for fiscal year 2023, we're at about 4,700, 4,800. As of March 2024, we were at 2,250. So that projects about 4,500, about the same amount, give or take, for this year. Our successful completions look to be up relative to last year at this time. Last year, we had successful completions of 2,600, and we're projecting this year, if you go straight line, to about 3,500.
Mhm. Any absconders?
None that I'm aware of, but I'd have to get that information for you.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, we're gonna, let's see. They're all, okay. We're gonna go through 1 through 6 before we take a vote on this. So we'll go to next item, item number 2.
Sure. Item number 2 is information related to the narcotics unit. Just a couple numbers that were on this report. Number of vehicles seized as of March 31st, 2024 for the fiscal year was 153. Reimbursement from individuals, approximately $21,000 at this point. And revenue received from towing would be about $34,000. I did a quick projection before I left the office today, and I noticed that our expenditures are right in line with what they were last year as well.
Okay. Any questions on item number 1 or 2? Okay, next item, number 3.
Item number 3 is a report on payphone earnings for the jail commissary. As you know, sometime last year that the revenue from payphones was eliminated from the contract. So at this point, the revenue that we receive in that business unit is from a general fund to transfer in. These earnings, it's listed as payphone earnings here, but it's a general fund transfer in. It offers inmates program services, including domestic violence transition programs, Alcoholics Anonymous programs, recreational items, as well as pays for 9 FTEs to run the various inmate programs and the PREA director.
Okay, so before we had this payphone earnings for the jail. With the new jail, what will we be doing? When they move into the new jail, they will no longer have this program, right?
They'll not receive money from payphone earnings, at least according to the last contract. We still receive money from concessions and commissary products.
But will they be still charged for phone calls?
That would be through Telmate. I believe that's the current vendor. but the sheriff's office receives none of those revenue.
Mhm.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
So what is the cost per call? When we say call, that's also, I think they are allow or have the ability to do video conferencing or video calls as well. So what is the cost on the inmate?
I believe that's part of the contract, which I don't have with me at this point.
Okay.
We could get that information for you.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
okay. Anyone else? Question on number 3? Okay, next one, number 4.
Number 4 was a report on the PREA program, PREA being Prison Rape Elimination Act. This includes a zero tolerance for sexual assault and harassment. As of 2023, we're partnered with Avalon Healing Center. They provide any new assault victims and those that may be suffering from past abusive situations with counseling and support services. The report that was attached, I believe, as the numbers, had numbers for fiscal year 2023, but at that point, the first quarter for 2024 was not available. So I will say as of 2023, there were 68 total cases, 37 of which were unsubstantiated, 22 were unfounded, and 9 were ongoing investigations at that point.
What are those numbers again? Total of what?
Pardon me?
What were those numbers again?
As of 2023, there was 37 unsubstantiated cases,
Okay,
22 unfounded, 9 ongoing investigations for 68 total cases. And that should have been in the report.
It is.
okay. Commissioner Garza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question about your definition of unsubstantiated versus unfounded. Just wanted to see what the difference is.
I will have to get that information for you. I had the same question.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to that.
Any other? Okay, next item number 5.
Item number 5 is a report on the road patrol operations. These operations consist of the secondary roads, which are provided through a grant with no match, and the MSE unit or Municipal Support Enforcement Unit, which again is no cost to the local communities. That's we receive 50% of the ticket revenue. Looking at the numbers that were provided, it looks like we're trending in about the same direction as we were in 2023, with a slight uptick in truck weight inspection, number of citations issued, as well as overweight fines issued.
Okay, Commissioner Kenlock.
For truck weight inspection violations, how is that determined? Do we have any scales anywhere or? how
Yeah,
is that
the
determined?
MSE unit does have scales.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Next, if there are no other questions or concerns, the next one is 6, item number 6.
Item number 6 is a report for Marine Patrol operations. There's little to report on the information because the season is just beginning. But Sheriff's Office is responsible for patrolling all the waters in the County of Wayne, including Lake St. Clair, the Detroit River, Lake Erie, and Belleville Lake. Of the numbers that were available for the beginning of this year, again, the season not really starting, dive training days, we've had 11 dive training days. And of interest, I found boat safety students trained so far this year alone, 617.
Okay. Any questions or concerns or comments on item number 6? Okay, so we're gonna ask for a motion for receive and file of items 1 through 6. Okay, Commissioner Garza, looks like you, I'm sorry, you second. Commissioner Dobb is makes a motion and is supported by Commissioner Garza. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, please vote.
So you have to use
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
She already voted.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much. Next item, item number 7.
Item 7, requesting commission approval of Amendment 3 to a cooperative terms and conditions contract with LexisNexis Risk Solutions for prosecutor's office investigators to use the LexisNexis Accurate portal to conduct online research.
Is that from Tony?
Gigi Essick is online.
Who is?
Gigi Essick.
Yeah, I'm here.
Gigi.
Gigi,
President.
you're online.
Yes, I'm sorry. Present.
All right, please go ahead, Gigi.
So we're requesting that the commission would approve the contract for 2 years. The contract is really important for our detectives for legal research, and we were waiting on the vendors to extend their co-op agreement. So when they extended their co-op agreement, we submitted the contract to your offices.
And so this was purchased through My Deal, right?
Yes.
Any questions or concerns on item number 7? Okay. Let me see. Okay, we'll take, can I have a motion on item number 7?
We have a motion by Commissioner Kinlock and a support by Commissioner Dodd.
Okay. Are there any questions or concerns on this item number 7? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carried.
Next item,
Item 8, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to fiscal year 2022 post-conviction testing of DNA evidence project grant award with the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance to cover the cost of one part-time detective.
who's here to speak on this behalf? On behalf of
Good
this-
morning, Commissioners. Good morning,
Okay.
Madam Chair. This
Okay.
is Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Emily Corwin. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is a grant award. It's a supplemental award. We were invited to apply, and we're awarded additional funds for a current federal grant that we already have. It increases the funds, and it also increases the time of the project by 12 months. So an increase of $246,309, additional 12 months. This is the work that's, we're doing DNA testing on certain cases that have convictions where it's believed that the person convicted may actually be innocent, and it's a true innocence.
Okay. Any questions on item number 8? Which is the approval of amendment number 1.
We have a motion by Commissioner Garza and a support by Commissioner Clemente.
Okay. Are there questions on this motion? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carried.
Next item,
Item 9, a discussion on Sheriff's Office recruitment efforts.
but we've been waiting for that. So what do we have here?
Mark Diaz. Mark Diaz, Director of Recruiting and Background Investigation.
Okay, you can sit right there. Mhm. Hit your button.
Thank you, and good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for inviting me to the table to give you an update on where we are and where we're going with our recruiting efforts with and for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. To put everything in perspective, I'll give you a layout of what our recruiting unit looks like. It's comprised of 3 recruiters, myself included. As the director of the recruiting unit, I also oversee the Wayne County Sheriff's Office Background Investigations Unit as well. So I can give you the update on both units because they're definitely intertwined in our mission to staff the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. So it's been a ongoing process, given the climate, not just here in Wayne County, but throughout the entire law enforcement community in the United States, where it's apparent that the history speaks for itself. The recruiting and hiring for law enforcement agencies in the United States is rather cyclical on a roughly 30-year cycle. And we are in the end of that 30-year cycle where not just Wayne County, but all law enforcement agencies throughout the United States are in this position where we are hiring en masse, partly and mostly due to a majority of our current workforce rather, becoming eligible to retire. So it's not a unique position to us, which actually exacerbates our efforts with respect to staffing because the competition is stiff. Everyone's hiring. And it's not just in law enforcement. We find that everyone is hiring in other areas of employment. To that point, I would be remiss if I didn't applaud the efforts and the work that was done by our brothers and sisters in the union representation sitting over my right shoulder and with our sheriff's deputies to create an environment that is competitive with other law enforcement agencies. They did a fantastic job working, obviously, with the CEO's office. Sheriff Washington was advocating as well. We know what needed to be done. And our recruiting efforts, though there are only 3 of us, and we are definitely on the low end of staffing for a recruiting unit. Our recruiters for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office have truly been doing a yeoman's job with respect to their contact and where they are. I would have had them here with me today, but one is at Western International High School, and the other is at Rosedale in Rosedale Park. Recruiting, that's what we do. So to that point, the question was, what are our recruiting efforts? And for the sake of time, I'm not going to read every single individual school, job fair, anywhere we can recruit within the 3 of us, within our confines of our small unit, we are there. But what we discovered in the onset of the new recruiting efforts that were initiated by Sheriff Washington was that the antiquated recruiting tools that were used of the past just weren't working. To put it in perspective, that the recruiting application or the application for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office was an 11-page document that was a hard copy that an individual had to sit down at a recruiting fair or at a school or come into the office and actually fill out. The Sheriff's Office, working with our IT department, created a new application. We call it with a QR code. I'll be honest with you, I stole it from a menu at a restaurant. I was like, well, they can have a menu and a QR code. Why can't we, or with a QR code, why can't we do that with an application? And so working with our IT department, we were able to create a QR application by way of scanning with your electronic device, this QR code that took an applicant directly into our application. And our numbers flourished. We really started knocking it out of the park all last year. And I will put it in perspective for you. Last year, we received over 1,000 applicants for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. With our limited staff for recruiting, we received over 1,000 applications. But we found that a problem was we only hired 58 of that 1,000. And so a deep dive into the analyzing the data revealed that when an application was coming in, though it was incredibly simple for a person to fill out the application, we found that there was a disconnect between the time the application came into the sheriff's office and when and how the applicant was responding with the Wayne County Central PHR, Personnel and Human Resources. That entity was collecting the data from the applicant necessary to move to the next phase of the hiring process, which is the background investigation phase. So by state standards as well as our own, a thorough background investigation must be conducted for every applicant. We have to make sure they meet our standards. We lost 68% of all of our applicants because they were not turning in their background information. That was one part of it. The other part was we also run a criminal history check to determine whether a person has a less than savory criminal history or a felony conviction that would disqualify them from the process. But also we run a driver's license status check to ensure they have a valid driver's license. That's also one of the standards necessary to become a sheriff's deputy. We lost 14% in that process. So you can see the number of individuals, applicants that we lost was significant. So that number, though recruiting efforts were, again, incredible. Our team did a fabulous job. That number was a facade. And so it had to be corrected. As of March 22nd of this year, it has been corrected. Our new application has been modified. So we are now collecting and receiving all of the background data from an applicant that's necessary in order to move them into the background phase. So ultimately, that's one of the things that we don't talk about in law enforcement by way of comparison to other careers is in most careers, you would submit a resume, go in for an interview, and you start next week. That's not the case in law enforcement. It's a very drawn out process with respect to a background investigation that has to be conducted, pre-employment testing, such as that is mandated by the state of Michigan, such as the EMCO written test for corrections officer, as well as the Michigan Sheriff's Coordinating and Training Council. They mandate a local corrections officer physical abilities test where the applicant has to go and take a physical run through an obstacle course in essence, and they have to pass that successfully. Now, to that point, before I don't want to forget this, there are costs associated with taking that test. And
Which one?
both. There were. Sheriff's Office and with MSCTC, we were successful in getting the Wayne County Sheriff's Office now recognized and licensed with the state of Michigan to perform and offer the local corrections officer physical abilities test. And we offer that for free for our applicants.
So that's the agility test, right?
That's correct. Now there was the other test is the written test for corrections officer that has to be taken with EMCO. It's the company that the state has recognized to offer that pre-employment test. Okay. Now that test, there's a $75 fee associated with it. And
that written test?
That is correct, Commissioner.
And they charge $75?
That is correct.
I believe I had a conversation with someone from the sheriff's department and that was looking to.
Yeah, they
that would be me, Commissioner.
Yeah, that was you. Oh, okay, right.
So these are things that, look, we want to take away any obstacles, whether the person's looking for a job, they might, because they want to be employed, they need to make money. And now they're having to pay money to get a job. Right. That doesn't make sense. But so yes, and I want to thank you. Thank you as well as Commissioner Irma Clark-Coleman, who spoke with me and directed me to you, that we have been successful, and Director Picorni and I were just having a conversation about that. We had to be creative in the way we would address that particular issue with EMCO. Again, it's a private entity. However, we're hopefully soon be able to have the check cut to EMCO, where ultimately we're going to offer our candidates, our applicants for the sheriff's office, a payment coupon where there will be we'll have an account that will be paid in advance, and we'll be able to give our applicants, when they're in the background phase of the hiring process, a coupon code that's unique so they can go in and register to take that test without having to pay for it. So We are moving and we're almost there to where there's going to be zero out-of-pocket expenses for a person who wants to be a Wayne County Sheriff's deputy, where other agencies, yeah, they're still going to have to pay to take those tests, and not every agency mandates that, but all things being equal, we're taking care of our applicants in that way.
How long does this background check take? How long is that whole process?
Commissioner, that's a great question, and I wish I can give you a 2-week, 2-month answer to that. It depends on the applicant. So because everyone's background is different. We find that generally a person who is younger, you have to be at least 18 years of age. So if we take an 18-year-old, they haven't really lived a long enough life to have an extensive background. But the older we get, have more jobs, live in different places, have more contacts, if you will, in some instances with regard to tickets and things of that nature. It just depends on the applicant. Now, I can say that we've had a background get done in as soon as little as 2 weeks, but we've had backgrounds that haven't gotten completed for in excess of 6 months because
That's terrible.
but that right there is based on the applicant not turning in documents that are requested of them in order to complete their background. So it's just there's no silver bullet to say, this is how we're going to have this done in a certain period of time. However, I will say with this new application process, those documents are, I would say 98% of all documents that we would really need are being captured right on the front end. So we're going to see fewer applications coming in because again, the old application could be done in 3 minutes. It was done, but we weren't getting the data from them. They weren't following up. So with this new application process, we're seeing quality over quantity.
That's the machine ringing.
Making that noise? Okay. Okay, so before they can take the agility test or the written test, they have to go through a background check, right?
Not correct. They can actually have those tests completed before they even apply. However, successful completion of those tests are required before they can, their background investigation can be complete. Other agencies require them to have those tests completed before their background investigation or before they can even apply. We afford them the opportunity to take it while they're in background. They just have to get it done before their background's done.
Okay. So we were supposed to be beefing up that department by three people.
The background investigations unit?
No, I'm talking about the recruitment, your recruiting office. I was told that it was going to be increased by 3 people. So has anything been done to bring on additional people?
We have 3 currently, again, myself included. I have not been given word that we're getting 3 more recruiters. I'm hopeful and encouraged by you saying that you heard we're getting 3 because the more recruiters, the merrier. It's been said before, it's all hands on deck. We're making great contacts now with just 3. I pray to see more recruiters recruiting on behalf of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office full time. That's it's definitely needed.
Well, we were informed that there would be a total of 6 because they were bringing on 3 additional people. So you haven't been made aware of that?
I have not been given that information. I'm incredibly encouraged to hear it coming from this table, and I'm very hopeful that it happens sooner than later.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Garza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's more of a comment more rather than a question, but I know that when administration was here that they said 6 recruiters would be happening for that department. So I'm concerned about that because if you're in charge of the recruitment and you haven't been told that, I feel like there's some disconnect in communication there. And I feel that if we're going to really get a hold of recruitment and doing the due diligence that needs to happen, that needs to be relayed to you as the director of the recruitment effort. So I do have concerns about that. It's very concerning that hasn't been relayed to Mr. Diaz, and I hope that we are able to get an answer from the department as to why that hasn't happened yet.
Well, for the sake of clarity, if I may, I will say that I have essentially daily contact with Chief Turner, who is the Sheriff's Office Chief of Staff. And he is very well aware of our need, and we've had that conversation and has indicated that the intent is to give us some help with that. The sheriff is aware also. I just haven't had anyone say, hey, Mark, you're getting 3 more recruiters
Well, that's probably because they haven't recruited anybody yet.
for the position.
Yeah, so, but it appears to me that something needs to be happening on that front.
Mhm.
Because it's a matter of urgency that we get more people in there to recruit. Because 3 is not working. It's not getting us what we need.
Absolutely correct. I completely agree. And again, as I stated earlier, the recruiting team that we have is surely doing a fantastic job. I wouldn't tout their abilities and the work they're doing unless I truly believe that. I see it firsthand. But by way of comparison, I've heard what other agencies are doing. I had a conversation at a recruiting event I was at last month, and there were a recruiting team from the Plymouth Police Department, and there were 6 of them in their unit. And I asked them how many people they were looking to hire, and they said, "Well, we have 4 vacancies."
So the next time somebody comes before this commission, I'd like for it to be someone who can tell me what's being done to recruit more recruiters, because that's important. We're not going to be able to get the people that we need. And I think it was Chief Turner, wasn't it? Chief Turner that told us that they were going to add 3 people to that recruiting team. Go ahead, Commissioner Kinlock.
Yes, and I'm confident that those positions will be put in place.
Have they come before your Ways and Means?
We've had conversations as relates that they may have the money already in the budget, so it's just working with HR to do the necessary take the necessary measures to actually create them. So coming to the table and saying they're going to do it, there's a whole process and timeline that HR send departments through in creating positions, as we've been told. Some of the questions and concerns coming regarding processing folks through for other departments. But my key thing I wanted to note that that we've gotten, like I mentioned before, reports each month as it relates to the work being done by you and your team. But we also know that because of attrition, we continue to see how that's been impact. We gain new deputies, and then we absolutely,
yeah.
And then also the impact that FMLA is having on staff levels as well. So just wondering how are you taking into account I guess the number and the patterns that's being established over the past couple of years because of FMLAs. Does that impact your determination on the hiring levels, or, do you just focus on filling those existing vacancies?
Yeah, to keep it just clear, I look at there's 2 different, ways of looking at my charge and the charge of the recruiting team. We are like we have tunnel vision with respect to our mission. Our mission is to hire.
So you all y'all not involved in the determination of the number of hire. At your level.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, we are. In fact, we've made ourselves involved in that process to expedite it, keep an eye on it, and in any way help to get that job done. And so we are aware, we have those conversations. The team is without a doubt we all take this to heart, where we are currently with the staffing levels within the agency and the attrition. And as I mentioned earlier, my own personal research into the the history being cyclical with respect to other agencies, my conversations that I personally have with other agencies and not only their recruiting efforts, but also their attrition issues. We're very much so aware of that. And again, not that we needed any more fuel to drive us in our mission, but it definitely is always on our mind. The fact that is, you said we will start a class of, let's just for the sake of the conversation, we start a class of 19, and we in that the month that class that graduates in that month, 20 people have resigned, retired, or whatever, and separated from the agency for whatever reasons. We just took a step back.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, so my thing is, so the level of, or the number of FTEs that you need on duty outside of the FMA filing, I mean, so how many full-time employees do you need actually working? So that we
right.
won't have to be where we are contracting out to provide certain levels of services.
So that's an operations question that I would be outside of my realm speaking to, but as I understand it, we need at least 47 more people today. And so the response, not just on the recruiting end, and I'll step outside of my lane, if you will, is how do we get people to start the academy sooner than having to wait to start at a certain date? Because that's another variable that's unique to law enforcement, not just the county sheriff's office, but to law enforcement. And so to get them hired and get them in the door, we would have scheduled classes. And that's where, you look historically back at the sheriff's office where we had jailers training classes that were only, I remember when I first started, there was a class that only had 3 people in it. It was crazy to hear that, but I understood the need. And so we'll see, we've had classes that had few people in it, but in response to get people, instead of waiting after they've gone through the background investigation phase, they've completed everything they need to, they're just waiting for a class to start for them to be hired. The response to that is to modify, and we're getting ready to do this now, we're modifying our academy class, our jailers training course, where we have an anticipated date right now, start date for this new course. It will be on May 13th. The intent is to have 20 candidates in that class. And of course, right now, as we're talking, I will be interviewing tomorrow. We're having oral boards, and I anticipate we will meet that number of qualified candidates for the sheriff's deputy position. But instead of having to wait for a candidate to have in the next group to have to wait, the intent is to start another class, or should I say include another group. The target is 10 more in a class that's going to be interjected into that starting class on May 19th or May 13th rather. And our goal is to add 10 more to that class on June 3rd.
So,
Rolling it out quickly.
Great.
so we need to hear from HR. Somebody needs to be able to tell us what the holdup is
With respect to what, Commissioner?
with respect to bringing on additional recruiters. I need to know that. And so for the next meeting, would you make sure that there's someone here from HR and as well as the sheriff's office administration? If that means bringing back Chief Turner, then so be it. But we need to know what that process is and why it's not moving and where it is. We were told that they were going to be bringing these people in. Okay, so if it's HR that's doing this, then HR needs to come here and explain to us their process and how long that's going to take. And if that is currently happening right now.
If all the necessary paperwork has been sent over to HR, yes.
Yes,
So if they
right.
started moving on it.
Well, in 2 weeks, we should know that.
Commissioner, if I may be so bold, I don't want to wait for 2 weeks, and my goal is to, when I leave this meeting, I will be in contact with Chief Turner to get some direction on that. And as soon as I have the answers that you're seeking, I will get them to you post haste, ma'am.
Okay, but we still need to have, in 2 weeks, you can get your information.
I'll
but we
relay
still
that as
need to
well.
We need to hear in 2 weeks what the status of those, 3 additional recruiters. I want to know what that status is. And how long it's going to take before we get them working. Because for every day that goes by here, or, we're not completing our goal, which is to bring in more help. If you've been able to do as well as you say your workers are doing as well as they did with 3, what will they do if they had 3 more?
Your words are a breath of fresh air. I'm having a difficulty controlling my excitement, and I can't thank you enough for your words. And I'm looking forward to getting some answers and getting this. Hopefully, we can get this done sooner than later.
Okay, report back in 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, any more questions from board members or commission members? Done. Okay, we have someone here.
Thank you.
We have some cards here. Who's first? Yeah, let's do that, and then we can come back to that. All right, next item. And thank you for being here, sir. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. And the next item is item F, such other matters. And I've not been informed of any other matters before this committee. And the next item is public comment. And Madam Clerk, would you please, is this going to be before public comment?
Limit the 2 minutes or
Yeah, yes, limit them to 2 minutes. Okay, so right now we're going to do public comments, and then we have cards for speakers, and they will be limited to 2 minutes. First card, please.
First card is Robin Hornbuckle from the Sheriff's Office. Oh, you can sit at the table, right where Mark was.
It's still morning. So, good morning.
Good morning.
I come on behalf of the Wayne County Deputy Sheriff's Association. I am the first vice president, and I like to start off with saying good morning again. And we did mention certain things would happen once there was you guys allowed for security to come into our court system. We, as the union, informed you guys that we were going to be displaced. I have a schedule from today where our members have been displaced and allied security has been put in the courtrooms. And our members have been delegated to do the hallway. I also have pictures of allied security that show them sleeping with the public around, videos, putting the feet up on the counters. And we told you this would happen. We were informed that we would not be getting displaced out of KMAC, and we would not be getting displaced out of our courtrooms. I do have, want me to give it to you? So.
Well, before you do that, there was a commitment to hold meetings with the administration, the deputies, and who else was supposed to be part of that group?
The county exec.
The county exec. Every 2 weeks, you're supposed to be having those meetings. Have those meetings started?
Yes.
Okay. Did you bring that information to the
Yes.
attention of them?
Yes.
Okay.
They get to do what they want when they want.
No, that's not what I asked you.
Yes, we did have the meeting. We
Okay.
did inform them that we were supplanted, and they made our deputies go into the hallway. And we did try to explain to them also that when they pull a jury, the deputies are sworn into that jury as they should be. And there was no correction made. They still have us as of today in the hallway and security in the courtrooms.
Did you have something to say, Commissioner?
Okay, so you submitted this information to the administration, and through that committee, have you received a response, in regards to those comments, and specifically, the assignment, or how they are deploying the officers as well as the security? I'm just saying, if there's officers are available for a courtroom, have there been any discussion as relates to, so okay, I have some questions I'll ask after the meeting of the administration. Thank you.
Administration has not given us a formal answer. Their answer has been that they get to put people where they need them to be.
And this group or panel or whatever is comprised of who? Who's on this panel?
We have CEO Turf, is he CEO? Deputy CEO Turfy.
Okay.
We had Reinhardt, Chief of Staff. We had the Under Sheriff, Jafer. We had Chief Dunlap, Chief Turner. Who else? Oh, yeah, and the recruiter, Mark Diaz.
And how many from your group?
There were 4 of us, the top leadership. It was myself, the president, second vice president, and then our secretary treasurer.
And did they indicate that they would be getting back with you on the issues that you raised?
No, the only issue they're going to be getting back with us on is, oh, wait, I think Chief Rammel was on there too. Was he on there? Yes, Chief Rammel was on there. And as of yesterday, he was the one that informed the officers that they were not going to even be in family court. They will be doing the hallways only.
And because we don't really know what the requirements are for the rules. We don't know the rules. And that's why I ask you if you'd raised these questions before the panel, because we don't know those rules.
Well,
And we can't be a mediator
absolutely
to those rules.
But you not knowing the rules, and we were told that they only had a year and they would not supplant us. So the rules don't have anything to do about us being moved out of the courtrooms and put in the hallways.
Okay.
Because from my understanding, they were going to be in the hallway if we needed something. They were in the hallway. They weren't going to move our officers out of the courtrooms.
So that's the question I'm gonna have of the sheriff and the administration. That's the biggest question for me. I understood the need for the security company, but I thought that they were going to be supplemental to the deployment of available officers into the courts. So that's the clarity, and I wish someone from the administration was here to answer that. Or is there anyone online who can answer that?
And I can send you some more.
No,
I'm just saying every day you can.
I'm good.
Okay, because this is the schedule.
For me,
So-
like the chair said, so we, not only are we not aware of the actual policy of the sheriff as far as deployment, the sheriff office, we cannot dictate the administrative policy as relates to how he administers the employees within his, because he's independent.
I understand, but when we
But
sat
we can
here,
ask questions and as relates to clarity, points of clarity of what we were told when the contract was being considered. So we definitely will follow up on that. So there's no one here from the administration?
Yeah, where's Turfy? Wasn't he in here earlier?
No, he was not.
No.
Who was in here earlier?
No one from the executive's office.
yeah. Okay.
We can follow up with them.
Okay, the reason we brought it to the commission is because we were given the information that it would be 1 year and we would not be supplanted. And We don't know about the year, but we know we've been supplanted. Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
ma'am, I'm sorry.
Commissioner, Clement.
Madam Chair, I want to recall, I might be incorrect, but when the judge was here, I thought she said they needed 2 people inside the courtroom.
Mhm.
So can you explain to me, you're saying that there's security inside the courtroom and your people are now in the hallway,
Yes, ma'am.
not in the courtroom?
Not in the courtroom at all.
So there's 1 person in the courtroom and 1 person in the hallway.
Yes. And because last week when it first started, the chief judge wanted to keep her deputy in the courtroom and everybody else would have security. So I guess she figured out that was going to be a wrong move and she put her deputy out too. So there are no deputies in any courtrooms. They are all security guards.
Yeah, Eddie, that was who was here. Eddie Fakori was here.
Yes,
He's on
Commissioner.
Zoom?
I'm on Zoom in my office here, so I was trying to get the attention, but I didn't want to interrupt, and then the speaker wasn't working. So I heard Commissioner Kinlock's request. We can't speak on behalf of the Sheriff's Administration, but I will follow up with the request that Commissioner Kinlock just made to ensure that the sheriff responds to your question, and anything that's the responsibility of our administration, I'll make sure that the proper individual will respond to your request as well.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Well, stay on, Eddie, because we still have a couple more speakers.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
And sure. Next.
Elton Oliver, also from the Sheriff's Office in the Union.
Good morning, committee. How are you all today?
Morning.
I'm Second Vice President Elton Oliver of Wayne County Deputy Sheriff's Association. I just wanted to make one comment, and I wanted to point out, of course, it seems like you guys got to it already, but when everything was said and presented before you, and every meeting that we were at, whether it's committee or commission meeting itself, it was pointed out that this security company was coming in to be a supplemental assistance because the judges, if you all recall, didn't feel safe or feel protected. I find myself lost for words and understanding, and I consider myself a very educated man, self-studied man, to focus on topics that I want to speak on. And I'm just have a loss for words of how that would work to have certified police officers who are trained in police academies be removed, and you're going to feel more safe with somebody who's less trained, who does not have licensing and certifications that police officers have. So I'm really at a loss for that and want to understand. Presented to the committee as if it was going to be one way. But as we pointed out in those meetings, and the reason that we stood up and spoke out was to ensure that you all knew that no matter how it's being presented, that we're telling you what's really going to happen. And what's really going to happen was being presented to you by us because we've been down this road before in different situations. It may not be the exact same thing, but it is the same actions where one thing is getting said, then it's put into place, and it turns out to be different. And that difference always ends up being our membership suffering in an unnecessary way when there are other avenues to solve the problems.
But then you certainly understand our position is that we're not mediators, and we don't know what your rules are, what the rules are. We don't know that a person ought to be inside or another person outside. We don't know that.
Yes,
That
we
was the
do.
reason that I was very happy when they said that you would have these bi-weekly
I remember.
meetings.
Yeah, I mean, we
and you would
appreciate
have
you
all
making sure that came
parties
forward.
there to work out those situations. So we don't have to try to micromanage
Exactly.
from our seat.
Yes,
You know, we don't have time to go through all of these reports,
it's a lot.
nor do we know what we're looking at when we go through them.
Yes.
So
Well, I
that,
want to first let you know we're available if you need assistance to read anything
no,
that's going to
that's
support or
okay.
prove
Okay,
you.
we got so much stuff to read
I
already.
understand.
But no, what I'm saying is that I was assumed that we would not have to do this
Yes.
to micromanage if you're having these bi-weekly meetings.
Yeah, we hope so as well. But I want you all to know, before I get up from this table, because my time is up, that we are in a constant state of presenting possible solutions and a willingness to work together to solve these issues in a way that is productive and protective of our membership, but at the same time of the agency we all joined. Myself, I have the least time out of the leadership of our union that sits at the table. And my time is almost 17 years of being part of this agency. I have over 20 years of law enforcement experience. And some things in that time are just learn what they're going to be. So when these moments come and we're given this good advice, or we're given solutions and ways to solve, just like we did at the last committee meeting, we have another problem. We have already given them a solution to that problem that's going to solve it because we surveyed it. So we put the work in before we even open our mouths to know what's going to help and how the membership feels about it at our general membership meetings.
Madam Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so just listening to the comments by Deputy Hornbuckle as well as you, these issues need to first be directed to, and I'm sure you probably already have in writing, to the sheriff.
Correct.
To the sheriff. And it seems, just based on what you're saying as well, jointly shared between the sheriff and the chief judge, as well as I would like to ask if you would CC a copy to the commission when you send those communications out. The response has to come from the sheriff.
Of course.
And come from the sheriff. And I have total faith that they will respond. And I'm hoping that not only are you meeting, but there's some resolution to some of the concerns and responses in a timely fashion when issues come up. So looking forward for the sheriff and his team to respond to those questions and issues you brought before us this morning.
We definitely hope as well. And our president is a fierce leader, and he goes forth and tries to make sure we're taking care of our membership. So thank you very much for my time.
Thank you for coming. Next item.
Next
person.
is Alan Cox IV, also from the union in the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Afternoon, committee.
Good afternoon.
I'm Alan Cox, the president of Wayne County Deputy Sheriff's Association. I'm not going to waste the committee's time rehashing what my first vice president and second vice president already alluded to. We just wanted to implore and get you to understand that issue as it relates to what was stated during the time that the vote was passed. They said no supplanting would take place. By all appearances, it looked like we've been supplanted. What I want to talk about specifically is how that correlates to what just transpired earlier when we discussed recruiting. I took the liberty of taking some notes. So in 2022, there were over 1,000 applicants for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. Only 58 were hired. 68% lost due to some form of breakdown in sheriff human resources and HR with Wayne County. So if you take 100% and divide it by that, subtract that 68% loss, that's 32%. That's an F grade that the office gets in reference to recruiting. Now you're talking about 1,000 applicants. We are going into a new facility and we have a deficit of about 300 officers. When we talk about the things that are affecting this agency, the major recruiting factor for this agency has been and used to be word of mouth by the officers based upon their experiences that they have while working for the sheriff's office. So when we sit here and we hear you mention FMLA, one of the reasons for FMLA is because of the overworking of the officers in the facilities, the mandation for 16-hour shifts. The officers, and I hear people say, well, you got officers making over $100,000 a year. Yeah, you do, but it's forced. to a point where you can barely appreciate the financial gain that you're making because of the wear and tear that's broken down on your body. That's hence the reason for FMLA. The FMLA is, okay, my body is breaking down. Even though I got these 2 off days, I need an additional day just to recharge. Everybody needs a mental health day. That's what those FMLA days are. And now you have people like myself who are entering the closure of your time with the agency, where you're starting to see yourself at the back door walking out while you see people walking in. And do you tell people to come into this agency? I'm saying to you with all earnest that these times are dire. We were on a call with Deputy CEO Turfy and the members of the sheriff office that my first vice president, second vice president mentioned. And the threat came that if we can't fix collectively the numbers, then we're going to have to revisit what we do with the security guards. I'm saying to you that it appears to us that there is no dire attempt to resolve these issues. They're purposely being stagnated. If you look at the numbers, 1,000 applicants, and you only got 58, you only have 3 people in the recruiting, but you say recruiting is a priority, it's smoke and mirrors. And I just want you guys to pay attention to the farce that's being presented to you, because this is what our officers see. On one hand, they come to you and they deliver this rhetoric about what's going on and what's happening, and we took it to heart. We went and did what we needed to do to get the raises, to get the people in the door, but we can't keep them if what they come and they see once they get here immediately forces them to exit. That's just my point.
Commissioner Kinlock.
Okay, just you sitting and being a part of this committee, we're not part of the sheriff administration. We're not part of what's going on in the courts. Just sitting here listening to you all each time you come here, it seems like there has been no movement. No, seriously, it's like no movement. And we got to keep in mind, we're all on the same team. We're county government.
Yes, sir.
And so it just seemed like this adversarial relationship that keeps coming back to this table. I don't know what else to do other than continue to try to both receive this information and then have conversations. This conversation is not necessarily absolutely not with the administration. When I say the administration, the county executive, this conversation needs to be had with the Wayne County Sheriff and the Chief Judge of the Third Circuit. And I think that we may want to ask and have a conversation with them to bring, like you mentioned, Mr. Turner, and then possibly the Chief Judge, because you're basically telling us that what we requested, what we were told, that nothing is moving in those lines, and that folks are trying to supplant as far as how these officers are being deployed. So I have no problem, Madam Chair. It's up to you as chair of this committee if we ask them to come back and give us an update on the status of it, because
in 2 weeks.
This is because, like I said, we shouldn't have this type of tension and that and stresses within the ranks of our employee and departments.
Well, I just like to, I agree with that. I just say there's a missing requirement here. If you want to eliminate the stagnation, that there should be a non-allowing of just the lip service. You guys provided a report documenting all of the stages for the meeting, what was going on, but people sit before you and give you no written account of the numbers. We heard what happened in 2023. We didn't hear anything about what are the current numbers for 2024 in reference to recruiting. All I know right now is there was a graduated class of 17. And I just now heard that there's the possibility that come May, they're going to do a class of 30.
No, but he also had a list that he didn't want to read out here to drag the meeting on, of places and locations that they've actually been engaged in. And the thing, you all are great. We got to get you all to be
on the same page.
Yes, and that's the thing there, because and I think, because I know the head of recruiting, and he's been working tirelessly and trying to communicate. So we got to get somehow try to hope that you all can get on the same page, because we're here to help with the funding. We're here to address contracts, But the inner relationships, those are things that you all have to really, really work on. And we're hoping that the chair, through the I guess coming back and getting an update, that we can somehow bridge that gap in some sort of imaginary way, I guess.
We're earnestly trying. I can say that. I mean, our appearances here are solely just to let you know what's going on in our attempts to try to cohesively work with them to resolve this issue. We're trying, but you can see the stagnation. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing with us. But as much as we don't want to be the mediator, somehow or another, we're thrown into the issue of being a mediator. And I don't want to be a mediator, but we do need to hear from the sheriff's department and chief judge about what has happened, what's transpired since this contract was let. And maybe at our next meeting, we can ask for someone from the chief judge's office, as well as the sheriff's department. And we don't want to have them send over Benita or anybody like that. We want to have someone who.
Benito's okay. I'm just joking. I'm joking. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we want to have someone from the top office come in before us to speak to us about this, so that we won't have to be in the middle.
Agree.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns or comments from members? Okay, now, is there anyone on Zoom or the phones who would like to speak at this time? This is public comment.
We have Ms. Buffington on Zoom.
Ms. who?
Ms. Buffington.
Buffington? Okay, Ms. Buffington, go ahead.
Good morning. I'd like to just reiterate what the Sheriff's Department is speaking on this morning. As a court clerk and as Local 1659 president, this affects my clerks. We are currently working on Zoom. The courtrooms have been shut down. There used to be a deputy at the end of the hall, the deputies that they could spare. I came into the building the other day. There were 2 armed officers, and I was puzzled because these officers don't have police powers. The judges are upset. They're giving pushback. This is Chief Judge Frazard alone and her alone. She does not have the support of the judges, and she does not have the support of Local 1659 in this union busting process of bringing in outside, unauthorized, no police power having individuals to come into the court that don't have the authority to subdue or detain or take to lockup if there is an incident, if someone is endangered. I just wanted you all to be made aware that the judges do not support this. They're having meetings. This is Judge Frazard and her administrator alone in this action and bringing in these armed security. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your comments. Anyone else on Zoom? Anyone else? Last call for anyone on Zoom or the telephone. Hearing none, public comment is over. Can I have what's next?
Adjournment.
Okay. Probably moved and adjourned, supported that